Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. Today we're looking at something that honestly feels like pure magic, but it's actually undeniable math. We're talking about how incredibly small actions can yield just monumental results over time. If you've ever felt like your daily efforts just aren't making a dent, well, you're absolutely going to want to lock in and focus today, because this is a real game changer.
Okay, let's dive into this. If you caught our previous explainer, you'll remember the stressful villain we talked about, negative compound interest, otherwise known as debt, right? That force that is just constantly working against you. But today we're shifting our focus to the hero of the story, positive compound interest. Now, this is the exact same mathematical force, but weaponized completely for your benefit. Instead of digging you into a hole, it's building your wealth, pushing you forward step by step, or, actually, as we're going to see today, seed by seed.
Which brings us right to Section 1, planting the first tree, the seed of wealth.
Now, what's really interesting here is how we define this. Compound interest is basically growth building on itself. It's the process where your accumulated growth generates even more growth over time. So I want you to visualize just planting a single banana tree. Imagine you're holding a tiny little seedling. You dig a modest hole in the dirt, you pop the plant in, you cover the roots. Boom. It barely takes any effort, right? Doesn't really look like much at all. But that single solitary tree represents that growth building on itself. Think about it. The tree grows and eventually it drops a seed, which sprouts another tree. Now you have two. Then those two grow, they drop seeds, and suddenly you've got four. You aren't just getting growth from your original plant anymore, you're getting growth from the growth. The interest earns interest. The whole process just begins to multiply, feeding entirely on its own momentum.
But to actually get to that point, we have to navigate Section 2, the boring middle years, patience and water.
Listen, it is absolutely vital to emphasize that this process is a slow burn. This is not some overnight success story or a get-rich-quick scheme. No way. The reality of achieving massive, long-term growth takes an extraordinary amount of just simple, persistent patience. Let's trace this timeline for a second. Look at year 1. You plant the tree and you water it. You weed around it a bit, you protect it. And then you fast forward to year 10. You're out there and you just keep watering it. Maybe there are a few more trees now, sure, but it still really feels like work. Then year 20 rolls around. You're still watering. It's totally routine now, the daily grind. Year 30, just watering. Day in, day out, hauling the bucket. Year 39, almost 4 decades later, you are literally just waiting and watering. And honestly, the sheer repetition of this phase is exactly what filters out the people who give up from the people who eventually win.
So the crucial point is, as our source material so bluntly puts it, it's just not very interesting. Seriously, for 39 years, watching paint dry or grass grow might actually provide more entertainment. The day-to-day process feels utterly uneventful. You wake up, you water the plants, you go to sleep. There are no fireworks, no massive headlines. The growth is happening, sure, but it is so agonizingly incremental that you might even question if all that watering is actually worth the effort. It is perfectly, completely normal to feel profoundly bored by these middle years.
But then, we reach the culmination. Section 3, the million tree reveal. The forest emerges.
Suddenly, the math crosses this critical threshold, and the power of that compounding growth just breaks the surface. What felt like a slow, uneventful trickle for decades absolutely erupts into a staggering display of abundance. And this brilliantly illustrates the final result. 1 million trees. Literally, a million. All resulting from that one single tiny seed we planted 4 decades ago. Because the growth built upon itself, and because you gave it the time and the water it needed, you didn't just grow a few extra plants. You grew an entire, sprawling, self-sustaining banana forest. It is a breathtaking transformation that completely defies our basic human intuition about how things are supposed to grow.
Let's break down the simple yet profound math behind this magic into a repeatable formula. Step 1. You plant a single banana tree. That's your initial step, your starting point. Step 2. You water it consistently for 40 years. That is your time and your disciplined contribution. Step 3. You witness a forest of 1 million trees. That's the compounding effect right there in action. It proves that consistency, when multiplied by the sheer unstoppable power of compound growth over time, equals an absolutely unbelievable payoff. You see, you don't need 1 million seeds to get 1 million trees. You just need 1 seed and 40 years of focus.
Which brings us to the final and really the most important takeaway of this whole explainer. What are you planting today?
Because whether we're talking about your finances, your skills, or even your personal habits, the math of compound interest completely applies. That slow burn growth is available to you right now. But here's the catch: the 40-year clock cannot start ticking until you put that first seed in the dirt. So find your seed, start watering it, embrace those boring middle years, and get ready for your forest. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.